Time now to check in with our traveling correspondent, comedian Tom Papa, in a segment we call Out in America. Tom, are you there?
Yes, I'm here, Chris. On behalf of Live From Here, I'm continuing my journey across the country, trying to shine a light on all the good people in America. This week, I found myself in San Francisco, California. It was a bright spring day, which in San Francisco means it was still much colder than you want it to be. The city was abuzz with basketball fever as the Warriors are in the middle of another run at a championship. I actually passed their future home, a $1 billion arena being built with $2.5 million luxury suites. This has become a very expensive place to live, with rent now higher than even New York. In a city that is more inclusive than most, money has become the discriminating factor. I checked into a dog-friendly hotel that had water bowls at the entranceway and dog biscuits handed out at the front desk. I tried making some jokes with the guy behind the counter, but he wouldn't crack. I joked about a late checkout. Nothing. I made a witty remark about being upgraded to a better room. He didn't even try to smile. Have you ever checked into a hotel and thought that maybe the desk clerk would be nicer to you if you were part Chihuahua? I have. I dropped my bags in the room that was next to the ice machine and decided to go out for a walk. But when I went into the hallway, I was trapped behind a middle-aged couple slowly walking toward the elevators. There was no way to pass them. They were the same shape, wearing matching denim shorts, white tube socks, and thick white sneakers. It was like trying to get around two Winnebagos on a country road. When we got in the elevator together, they introduced themselves as Paul and Val. I asked them what they were doing tonight, and Paul rolled his eyes and said, "We're going to the lobby, using our coupon for a free glass of rosé that the front desk gave us, and then we're going back to the room and calling it quits." I wanted to say something nice, but I couldn't believe that the front desk clerk put me by the ice machine and gave these two free booze. "We deserve it," Paul said. "She ran me all over town today. This city is nothing but hills, and she dragged me up and down every one of them." She giggled, squeezed his hand, and said, "I really did." I had to admire them. This is what marriage is all about. Here was a man who obviously didn't want to do any of the things that he was asked to do today, but he did it because a husband knows, deep down, that without her prodding, he might never leave the house again. I slipped past the front desk and out into the streets. San Francisco is a great walking city, and by that I mean you don't have to walk far before you find another great spot to eat and drink. My first stop was the Buena Vista Cafe. This historic spot that opened in 1916 is known for their world-famous Irish coffee prepared by career bartenders who look like they just stepped out of a John Steinbeck novel. The cafe overlooks the bay with a view of Alcatraz and the Golden Gate Bridge. Trolley cars pull into the park across the street, load up tourists, and head back up the hill. As the bartender prepared the Irish coffee with great theatrics, I sat between a businessman from Tampa named Chris and Sheila, an 85-year-old woman from Chicago. Chris was out here for a pharmaceutical conference, but he snuck out and came to the bar because he just can't take working anymore. "Ever since I moved to Tampa, all I want to do is retire," he said. Sheila chimed in. "That's why I swore I'd never go to Florida. It makes you so slow and lazy, you want to die." Chris blames it on being surrounded by water. "All I can think about is all the fish out there. I'll be sitting in a meeting trying to work, and then I think, I'm in Florida. There's fish everywhere. I should be out there catching them, bringing them home, and eating them all up." Sheila rolled her eyes. "Sounds like you're a little bit of a kook." The bartender gave us another round, and then Chris started in about the alligators. There are gators everywhere. You see them on the highways, crossing bridges. I heard one story where a gator actually rang this lady's doorbell with its tail. But he wasn't so smart. In Florida, it's law that if you catch one on your property, it's yours for keeps. "You see," said Sheila, "you never hear about crap like that happening in Chicago." Have you ever drunk so much whiskey and caffeine in the middle of a fight between Florida and Chicago that you forgot you were actually in San Francisco? I have. "Men are idiots," said Sheila. This is why I don't get married again. And I won't, unless they're willing to sign a prenup and don't mind sleeping with me and my 3 dogs. The bartender stopped making his Irish coffees and said he'd love to sign up for that. He and Sheila shook on it, and I really think it might happen. After all the fish and gator talk, Chris and I decided to head to the Fisherman's Wharf for lunch. It was bustling with activity, and to Chris's delight, filled with fish. Have you ever watched a man from Tampa start to tear up when you bought him a deep-fried crab sandwich? I have. We walked along and came upon a homeless man looking for food. Chris really didn't want to do it, but he handed the man his crab sandwich. "If you like that," he said to the man, "you should really come to Tampa." Have you ever heard a homeless man say that he'd rather live on the streets of San Francisco than go to Tampa? I have. And that's when I knew it was time to head back to the hotel and, like Val and Paul, call it quits for the day. Until next time, this is Tom Papa, out in America.
Let's hear it for Tom. Make sure to check Tom Papa's tour schedule to see when he will be visiting your town. You can get his new book, Your Dad Stole My Rake, at tompapa.com or wherever books are sold.